Welcome to the Let's Talk Basic podcast, where girls talk about everything basic.
Join us as we sit down with a glass of wine and see where the conversation goes.
Kick back,
relax,
and get ready for the ultimate girls' night in.
I'm your host, Joanne.
And I'm Vanessa.
Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Let's Talk Basic podcast. V, it is, I think, officially summer now.
Yep. I am in bike shorts most of the time, and then depending if I'm going to work outside or not, it's usually a long sleeve still. I'm not fully, I'm like summer on the bottom and then fall or spring up top.
Yeah, I can't believe we've actually gone through an entire season, and it's just been like a whirlwind of ups and downs of weather and emotions and everything. So it's kind of crazy. And I can't even imagine what it must be like for new relationships and starting their relationship in quarantine when there's so many other factors going on.
I think there's two, if you're starting a new relationship during quarantine, I feel like it could go both ways. It could go really, really well and it's really accelerate your relationship and make you, take it to the next level, or it could just be really, really bad. And I've actually it's not a close friend of mine, but I did hear about one couple breakup during quarantine, and I think it was just over Zoom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But we have our favorite couple here today, Joe.
Yeah, we have Jen and Mike. They're with us. They're still together. Woohoo!
Yay! Hey!
Welcome back, you guys. So tell us, what have you guys been up to?
Been quarantining, first of all.
Yeah, we've been staying away from people.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
That's each other, I guess.
So what is that, what does that look like? Have you moved in together? Are you guys, what's going on?
I guess I'll go.
Start.
I'll start. Yeah, we haven't officially moved in together, but I think just right from the get-go of quarantine, or when quarantine was announced, I think we kind of made the decision that we would spend most of our time over at Mike's place. And yeah, I spend about, I would say, 5 of the 7 days of the week there, just so I can at least have the 2 nights to come home and have my own space and, not lose my identity yet.
Is Rob Ford a listener of this podcast? Because if he found out about the other 2 nights, I don't know if you're following rules since March.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been keeping my social bubble from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's true. I think when you put it, first of all, Rob Ford's dead, but
yeah. Not Rob.
But I think he was saying Mike's dying.
You mean his not deceased brother?
Remember how we said Mike was smart?
It has ruined my brain.
Yeah. But yeah, he did the whole social bubble thing. He was the one that broke it for everybody. So I feel
it has to be, so it's fine.
Rob Ford's been quarantined for a very long time.
Yeah. So, okay, you guys have been living together, or I don't know, we'll just call it that for sake of simplicity. What made you decide to have the 2 days apart? Is it because you had tried it for a few weeks and you're like, oh, maybe I'll just go back a little bit because I miss home?
I mean, we thought it might be healthy to just maybe have a little bit of time apart. But I still have my stuff at my own place, and I have my bed, which I value and love very, very much. So I'd like to go home and enjoy my own bed.
Yeah, you don't live far. I think it wasn't ever a direct discussion. It was kind of it just happened that way because there's always things that you just had to go back for or whatever reason, and it just developed into a routine, I guess. So it started that way, having to go back, and then we basically stuck with it because it worked. So
That actually sounds really nice, and I wish I could do that too.
I actually, like, I would say the first month and a half, I had the same discussion with my boyfriend, and I gave him the option. I'm like, look, this is new to us, and I wasn't really expecting to stay forever, but this looks like it's going to last longer than just a couple of weeks. You let me know if you need some space, and I can go back to my condo. And I always feel like when I brought that question up, it almost put him in a weird position because I just never left. And I don't know if he was like too afraid to say anything.
You're back now.
Exactly.
So you have to get new ones, or you should go home and pick them up. No.
Yeah. And then I think another factor for living together, like a pro, and I don't know if you guys find that as well, as like groceries. It's so much easier because getting grocery for one person it doesn't really work. So I think I kind of used that as an excuse to stay here. And it's been how many months has it been?
4 months now?
Yeah, I've been like basically living off of him for 4 months.
I mean, I agree with Vanessa on the grocery thing, but for me it's more, I get to try more recipes now and have another mouth to enjoy them, or maybe not enjoy them with.
I wouldn't lie.
He needs to eat and I need to eat, so there you go.
Have you guys?
But I think it actually creates a really nice structure to the week, because in quarantine, you can't go anywhere and you're basically stuck inside all day. So even having like 2 days away it kind of feels in the best way possible. It feels like a weekend, just being able to, leave a space for a little bit.
Yeah, because weekends don't feel like a weekend since it started. It's just the same kind of thing. So that's a good way to put it. Actually, it does. Yeah, breaks up the routine.
I feel like it's good to, like, it's healthy to, like, miss a person a little bit. Like, when you're together constantly for 24/7, it's like, what do you talk about? Like, you can't even be like, oh, what'd you do today?
Like, I know what you did.
Yeah, I know exactly what you did.
Yeah.
So how would you guys say that, like, has quarantine changed your relationship? I know in, like, the beginning of the episode, I talked about, how I think quarantine could either accelerate a relationship or, break up a relationship. How would you guys say that it has been for you? I'm going to say that it's working because you guys are still together, but
this isn't going to be a breakup Zoom call.
Yeah.
How we started is how we end.
No, I mean, well, we all the listeners know when the first date was pretty much a week awkward phone call. So we were 4 or 5 months into the relationship after that when everything started. So I'd say, like, if you surveyed people, they would say that's usually the honeymoon length, and it sometimes goes longer. And we talked about it, and not in a bad way, but I'd say pretty quickly just settling in and seeing each other all the time. That honeymoon phase went away, but it's not a bad thing. I know you're laughing, like we talked about this, so don't. But in a good way. You kind of, when you see everybody day to day, it changes it up, and it's accelerated in a good way for sure. Just because you go from the point of where we're going to go on our next date to things being shut down, and you sort of focus and you start to really enjoy each other's company beyond just, the initial excitement when that wears off the wrong term. But when it shifts, you really start to notice it and appreciate it. And I think with some couples that could go very terribly, and you don't like that new life and the way it's adjusted. But lucky for us, and I guess we give some credit to you guys, but we were compatible off the start and it continued. So
yay.
Agree or disagree, or you still think we're in the honeymoon phase?
No. We're definitely in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, so just a reminder, because I feel like I need one as well. How long have you guys been together from start till now? Like, it hasn't been a year yet.
It's about 8 months now.
Crazy.
Yeah, since our first, what we set our first official date as October 19th. Mark that down, everybody.
October 19th.
Our first Let's Talk Basic date was on September 19th, and our first date was on October 19th.
A month later,
so the 19th has some special, I don't know, meaning for us, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So you guys had a pretty crazy, obviously, first date, and then
Refresh our memory. What happened?
I don't know. I wasn't there. Somebody closed the window screen on me.
Yeah. First date with viewers, yeah.
But have you guys done any kind of interesting quarantine dates since?
Yeah, well,
quarantine?
I mean, I guess I'd say you're limited. I mean, we're both active people, so now that stuff's opening back up recently, things like batting cages and riding bikes and kind of the stuff you'd expect from everybody. But I think even from the start, at least once a week, we made a point to even just go somewhere different for a walk where it's not, local. It's somewhere different than where we both live. So even Niagara Falls, for example, and it was empty in April, probably not now. But I mean, you can't go to an arcade and go to Tilt or anything like that. But we made a pretty good point to change that up. And there's almost a park we haven't seen in the GTA at this point.
And I mean, occasionally we would have a date night in, I guess. We'd order food or play board games. We tried the burrito game.
Throw burrito?
Yeah, it is sure to give you a lot of laughs if it's just the two of you. But like we try to do different things, and I think without being even super intentional about it, sometimes we would, at the end of the night, we would say like, oh hey, like that was a cute date night that we had. Like it felt like we hadn't done something quote unquote normal for a long time, and you can definitely find a lot of activities like Mike said around Toronto to just like get yourself out of your bubble.
Well, since living with each other, what have you guys learned that you didn't really know about each other before living with each other and really seeing each other 24/7? I'm gonna pick someone to go first. I think if you could tell us maybe pros and cons, that would be great. Let's start with Jen.
Pros and cons. I mean, pros of living together, I guess, for me, and this is about to get real sappy.
He's just, like, has he heard this before? Is this the first time?
We didn't fully talk about this. No.
Whoa.
Yeah, he might cry. No.
Look him in the eyes while you say this.
Yeah. I think one of the great things is, with any new relationship, you would have your like nightly calls, and you would kind of be able to chat through your day, and just being with the person and being on the couch or just lying in bed before you go to sleep, being able to unwind and just share about your day, or just to talk and kind of shoot the shit a little bit. I think it's just being able to have that person to come home to at the end of the night. I think that's like the best part of living together. And really for us, like we talk about this a lot, that we like to share everything on our minds. So being able to be in person and really feed off how that person's reacting and how that person is chatting with you really does help. The con, I guess it's just remembering that there's another person in your space, and that if you're taking a shower, don't take too long of a shower, or I don't know, like don't make too much of a mess, or if someone's on a work call, don't start vacuuming and banging on pots in the kitchen kind of thing.
Seems very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bang on pots in the kitchen. Or like, make sure you're wearing pants when you're walking by somebody's Zoom call or something. I don't know.
What's that aimed at?
I don't know.
Is that you or me?
Yeah.
I don't like to wear pants inside the house. But it's just, being cognizant of someone's space. And, I've never really loved that, but now that there's another person, I just have to, adapt.
That was a really long con compared to the pro, but I guess it's my turn. I guess the pro is similar, but maybe I'd word it in a different way. I guess kind of going back to the honeymoon phase theme, and when you initially start dating, and just because of work pre-COVID where you're at a different location, it still felt like every time you saw each other was a true date. And when that changed, if you're not compatible with someone, or if you think you have the same interests as someone, I think it could go badly. But when you spend pretty much every moment with that person, and you actually start to learn that the compatibility is there, it reinforces it instead of makes you second guess it. So it's a really big pro to be able to spend all that time with someone where you can be yourself, not to be sappy and cliche, but to actually feel that way. And, when you want to relax and unwind and not almost, be on your best behavior on the clock, you don't have to worry about that. And you can unwind with the other person who wants to do the exact same thing. So I think that's a huge pro, and it's pretty obvious that both of us noticed.
Okay, wait. Before you go into the cons, can I just say that that's so cute?
That is very nice.
I love. I know. Wait, we'll just like pause on like a really good note. Like
There you go.
I have to say it was so cute while Mike was saying that. Jen kind of like looks over at him and like smiles. And they had this moment, and I was like, "Oh, I feel so uncomfortable." Okay, now you can go for the con. I think we embraced that moment.
Well, the con's kind of innocent. I was going to save it for the pet peeve, but I think it kind of applies, though.
Whoa!
No, it's just totally innocent.
Yeah, this is good. You know it's coming. But the shared internet, it like...
The shared internet? It's not her fault. Like, the entire world is on...
No, it's my problem, because I've been trying to fix it. But when you both try and actively like stream something, it's terrible. And we're both playing COD separately. Call of Duty for listeners who don't get the acronym.
We both like video games.
The lag is real, and it's like, why are you causing me to lag? You just get frustrated with each other with that. So the shared internet, like in 2020, you'd think that it would work well in a condo, but for some reason it doesn't work. So we're always gonna have to say, okay, your turn to play.
So have you guys been sharing the COD time now?
Yeah.
So you play mobile, so it's like separate, like PS4 and Linen.
So for the listeners, I don't play real Call of Duty. I play on my phone, which is just the same. But I have to let him finish his time on his PlayStation before I can play. So we take turns.
I feel like that's like a really, I don't know, that's like relationship 101 in action or something. Like,
yeah.
Relationship 101, learning to share.
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. There's one each.
Do you guys run out of things to talk about? Like you were kind of saying like it's so nice to like, touch base at the end of the day. Have you run into that issue where you're like, I don't know what to say to you anymore? Or is that like, future relationship problems?
I feel like every day comes with like its own thing. It really, I don't find that we've ever run into a time where we don't have anything
there's
to
not
say.
Like a half hour of silence or anything like that.
Yeah.
It might be even you get a bit bored inside and we're like, let's go for a walk or something, and we have our talk then. But no, I wouldn't really say there's that silence where we just like feel like we have to force each other to talk.
And thanks to all the content creators on TikTok and Instagram, there is plenty of things to laugh about and talk about too when we come across something funny. Like it's helpful that we have the same it's a good thing actually that we have the same sense of humor.
Yeah.
Or I think, the conversation would probably die really fast if we couldn't laugh about the same thing. Yeah. And like, honestly, this is just like information that nobody really needs to know, but we recently watched Borat, and the amount of like Borat quoting that we do is just half of our conversations are quotes from Borat. So really, we're about 5 years old.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Borat and Call of Duty.
Yeah. Oh, you set this up.
Yo, is it dog grooming's on the list?
Dog grooming is on the list, yeah.
You left out slapstick humor, though.
Yeah, I did.
I feel like you're getting into like inside joke territory, and you're
Yeah,
just leaving
Joe
us
and I are
out
looking
now.
at each other like, is that supposed to be funny? Should I giggle?
Dog grooming, haha.
Slapstick. Ha Oh man.
And they're not gonna let us in. Okay, we'll keep moving on.
No.
That is a hard joke. You can do the Rob Ford one, like misquote him and not the dog. I
Yeah.
think that's an inside joke for the podcast now. So we have one today.
Quote a dead guy, yeah.
I like that one because we're a part of it. And
Yeah.
everybody else, all our other hundreds of listeners. So what have you guys, did we already talk about this? What have you guys learned about each other? Like things that you wouldn't really learn about each other without actually living together. Is there anything that you guys have kind of been like, oh, interesting about you?
Well,
I feel like we asked that, but they didn't quite answer it. I feel like they went into like, yeah. So I good for bringing that one up again, Joe. They didn't,
Like I didn't get an
can't
answer.
Let them go. Can't let them go.
This one is partially for as a joke, but I mentioned it to Mike the other day. I remember the first few times I went to his place, I was like, he like bought like Charmin toilet paper, and I was like, wow, this guy's bougie.
That's the one thing.
Yeah, that's the one thing. And then the next time I was like, oh, we should buy like Costco toilet paper. He's like, yeah, sure. I don't really care what kind of toilet paper I use. And I was like, oh, so like what, you like buy Charmin on sale or something? Anyways, it triggered me because the Charmin came back into the picture the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember. I thought you were the bougiest person in the world. I was tricked.
I wouldn't like. These are things that I would have noticed though. When I go to a guy's house for the first time, and he had really plushy toilet paper,
Yeah.
that would be a huge check because that's. I mean, guys don't even barely have toilet paper,
Right? Yeah.
right? So the fact that you spent the time to look, for a toilet paper that is plushy and feels good, that's extra points for sure.
Yeah, but it's also good to what?
Stealing from the office.
Huh?
But it's also good to know now that they might not actually care about it, and it could just be like a fluke of the time that you got there.
Yeah.
It's probably like your mom bought you that.
That's 100% right.
Yeah, your mom definitely got that for you. Okay, so now we know.
You said that.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I just took it from home. I shouldn't have played dumb, though. I should have said, like, yeah, I do. But then I'd be committing myself to always getting it.
Yeah.
So it's a trick.
Whereas I'm like, let's buy Kirkland toilet paper. In all seriousness, though, I think one of the things that I had to learn, not I had to learn, but one of the things that I learned the most about Mike living with him is that he always likes to like think of like different ways to do things, and I wonder if that's like a Seven thing, and that he's just like thinking of like so many different things at once. I can't think of an actual example now, but let's say, for example, actually I have an example. So if anybody knows greenhouse juices, I did like a juicing thing for a while, and I told him about this one juice. It's like kind of like a shake. I was like, oh, this is great, like you have to try it. He tried it once. He's like, I'm gonna deconstruct this and make it myself. And he ended up like deconstructing it and making pretty much a similar smoothie by himself. And that's just kind of like his personality. He likes to take things and try to figure out how he can make it his own and better, and I guess more economical.
Wait, you're a 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my boyfriend a 7, Joe?
No, he's an 8.
Okay.
If they're side by side, is that like there's some 7 stuff in an 8 or no?
Yeah,
I forget
they
how it
like
works.
they're you could be similar. Like I don't know. I don't want to get like super technical, but you can have wings. So like you could be like 7 wing, either 8 or 6. So you could be more like 8 wing 7, so closer to a 7 than like a 9. Like there's like the gradient of like where on an 8 you land on either side.
I feel like my boyfriend is really extreme. Like he's like that, but like even more extreme. So one example that, and you might be the same. So like we're going camping in a week or so, and once he has something in his mind, he won't let it go. So he's like, I'm buying a boat. I'm like, why are we buying a boat?
Oh, okay.
Like, and then he's like, well, there's no kayak or canoe rental. We need a boat now. So he will spend hours at night researching what boat to get. And then by morning, like I've slept, I let him do his thing, and he's like on his phone at night. And then the next morning I wake up, he's like, hi, you stay in bed. I'm just going to go pick up a boat. I'm like,
The next day.
what happened? And I feel like he's really extreme, so maybe that's just another category. But I can see him doing something like you just mentioned.
So wait, does he have a boat now?
Is it a boat?
That's another episode.
Oh my goodness.
Can I ask one question though?
Are you
Yeah.
bougie? Wow, Kenny.
I'm not. I'm definitely not. I didn't even know that was possible to get a boat the next day.
Yeah, like Kijiji, or if it's that quick.
I guess you can do in-store pickup.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't do, brand new things. Of course it's secondhand.
Because if it's overnight, I feel like you wouldn't have had a chance to look at the models and stuff. It's more like what's out there on the internet.
Yeah. He does
Does he
a
have a
lot
name
of
yet?
research.
Because that's the biggest thing. You have to name your boat when you get it.
Not yet. We can,
Okay.
yeah. So I think he has one right now, but I think I'm going to convince him to not have one.
Stay
It's gonna be a
tuned
big
for.
gender reveal party or something.
No,
You have to
it's
pick
not
what
like
name
that
it.
at all. No, it's not like that at all.
Well, thinking
Sorry.
about-
Yeah.
Like keeping.
Or about what you guys learned about each other. Sorry, go on.
Well, I guess maybe it's just sort of leveraging off what we said. I guess there's sort of 2 ways to approach something. And I feel like with me, the 7 in me, for something I sort of want to do, I know I always have the end result in mind. Like, say if I wanted to buy a boat, I'd say, yeah, I am going to buy a boat. But I think the part of my personality is what's the best way to get there, or what would be the most fun or the most enjoyable. So I feel like I change my mind a lot, not on the end result, but on how to get there. Like you think about, I just got a couch recently, and same thing. I was thinking about, what's going to be the best fit, and what makes sense. And I changed my mind a lot. And I feel like that can be frustrating to someone who doesn't think the same way that I do. Because when you have something in your head, it's a quick decision, and you're like, no, I already know what I want, and here's the plan how to get there. And the 3 is regimented, and it doesn't matter if you're going to enjoy it or not. It's like, there's the task. So, I mean, a couch or a boat is a bigger thing, but even little things in day-to-day life, say, planning out groceries for the week, and it's like, what are we going to do? And for me, I say, I don't know what I'm going to want to eat in 3 days. And you're like, no, this is what we're going to eat in 3 days. And it's not, the way I say it like that makes it sound like it's a bad thing. It's not. But learning to adjust to the different personality to approach the same problem is definitely something to get used to. And it's good because you can contrast off each other, because it's good to have someone that has a plan that's fully sorted out. Because in a way, part of the stress of a 7 is like thinking of the best way to get there. And if you don't even have to think about it because it's already set, then you don't have to worry about it, and that's the positive to it. And I'm sure on your end, maybe not, but the creativity maybe, or the like excitement of deciding how to get there sometimes helps. But I don't know if you're going to shake your head when I say that or not.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I had to learn. Like, he has a lot of ideas and a lot of things that just kind of like
Yeah,
and
the
like
thin air.
popping in thin air. He's just like grabbing at different things, like, oh, this could work, this will work, this. And for me as a 3, it's like, no, like this is how you achieve, like, you know, your goal. This is how you achieve success, and like your dinner planning for the week kind of thing. And yeah, we really had to, and you know, thanks to you guys, it's a lot of like we actually really had to understand our enneagrams, and we had to understand.
Totally.
I'm going to go into this a little bit later, probably, like what our love language for each other is and just how we communicate with each other. So that's, I mean, those are things that we really had to learn about each other. It's fun to talk about it when you're on a date here and there, but when you're living day to day together, there's things that you can't get around, not understanding how the other person's thinking.
What is your love language? Like, are you guys different or?
No, we're like pretty much exactly the same, actually. So that's also very easy.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, our top love language is quality time. And then I think both of our second one is words of affirmation.
Yeah, when we did that the one time, this is pre-COVID too, so it was good we did it beforehand for sure, but I know for sure that they were both ranked 1, 2, and they were a lot higher than the other ones for both of us in the same order. I don't know the other 3 if they were different, but they were lower down, so I guess they're not as important to us anyways.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a good, I guess because we did the test, you already knew that about the other person, but it's something you sort of talk about and you say, oh, that's how it works, but you don't really see it until you get to apply it when you're together. So you learn it about the person, I guess, by experience, and you knew what to expect because that's what the test said. But when you see it applied every day in real life, it definitely helps.
I feel like you guys have only been together for 8 months, and you guys have gone through like so many therapy exercises, like learning each other's love languages, learning like each other's weaknesses and how to balance each other out. Thank goodness for Enneagram.
Yeah, and I really like how, like, even during quarantine, I feel like a lot of people kind of throw those things away, like all the things that you guys have established, like the foundation of your relationship, how you guys communicate, your personality traits, and what each other need. I feel like a lot of people during quarantine throw those away, especially I can tell you, I definitely don't think about that. So it's really good that you guys kind of bring it back to where it actually matters. And, that's something that I feel like I can learn from.
Yeah.
And it'll avoid a couple fights for me.
And I guess it's, you know, on the topic of being in newer or new relationships in quarantine, I think that's kind of where we needed to set our foundation, because we don't have, I mean, we can take the time and space to kind of, you know, see each other once a week or whatever pre-COVID was. But I think it really helps to ease that like awkward gap of like, oh, we've only been together for a few months and now we're like together 24/7. But I think even before we went into quarantine, we talked about those things, and
it's a good thing we remembered them.
Yeah, good thing we remembered them. But I think for like any new couple, especially in this time, right? And I'm not gonna look at Vanessa, but don't get lazy. And it's not to say like, oh, we understand each other's, you know, love language, we understand each other's enneagrams, and like all of our communication is perfect. It's not, and there's still days where we we'll have like quiet moments, and we'll have, you know, those frustrating moments where we won't know what to say to the other person. And I'm just speaking on behalf of myself. I'll sit on the corner of the couch and quietly fume until he's so persistent that I'm like, okay, fine, like this is what's going on.
Is it the internet?
It's the internet. It's like COD, and it makes me so upset.
You played COD twice in a row.
You said you were only playing for 15 minutes.
That's so funny.
Okay, so like that kind of leads into my next question. Has there been any like quarantine fights that you guys have had?
Yeah.
I say yeah, because I remember there's a few times that but I don't remember what they're about.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. Maybe we resolved them, so I'd just chucked it out of my brain.
Yeah, I mean, there have been, but I think they're from the source of what we talked about, whether it's a personality difference and just how you approach a problem, and it's almost like a fight that comes out of frustration, really, or in the moment you're upset or something, but then when you have time to cool down or think about it, then you kind of remember, oh yeah, these are the things that we talked about, or this is how you approach it, so that's why there's a difference. It's like we have disagreements just like anybody, but
yeah. I mean, one disagreement fight, I guess I feel like we recently had was we were on a walk and he was like, oh yeah, I would like to do this with these people, and I think this would be a good idea to do. Oh, maybe I should contact this person. And I was like, please tell me what you want to do, because you can't just drop 3 ambiguous plans on me. Are you going to connect with any of these people that you just spoke about? And he's like, oh no, sometimes when I make plans, it's really just it's a good idea, but I might not execute. And for me, as a 3, I'm like, no, you need to, don't even say it unless you're going to execute it, because I'm right there with you. I'm making these plans already in my head, and they're written down in ink.
Yeah, the 7's it sounds fun, but I'm not sure if it'll be the most fun yet.
Yeah.
I have to think about it.
So that almost sounds silly, but it's just those things of how 2 people process things. That tends to, I wouldn't even call it a fight. It's more of a frustrated argument.
Yeah.
So, okay, leading into resolution then. I don't know if it's any different being in a new relationship, but having to live together and it forces you to have to address the issue because they're right there in front of you. How do you guys what kind of ways have you guys had to resolve your issues?
Talking about it? No,
that's so much easier said than done, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually feel like we're pretty equal with the person stepping up to actually address it, because sometimes it's almost like you have to think about it for a bit, and it's kind of the question of are you the one that sort of brings it up or knows what it's about yet? I feel like sometimes neither you know what the source of the frustration is, and when the first person figures it out, then it's okay, it's time to address it and time to talk about it. There's not really a formula to me. I think it's just one person in the situation, because usually there's one person that's less frustrated, has a clearer head, and speaks up, and sort of gets the conversation started. And once you've done it more than once, I think you know how the other person responds and how the other person is to address it, or kind of the things to say, or really what's causing issue when you understand the personality. So it's always a work in progress, but it's still something that it's hard to put into words.
Well, I mean, it is easier said than done, but I think we just kind of made that commitment to each other that when there is something frustrating us, that we would talk about it. Even if it's 2 people go to sleep so angry, would wake up at 2 a.m. and be okay, I have to tell you, this is what I'm upset about.
Yeah.
And I would be so pissed. You woke me up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
The best greeting.
Yeah. Yeah. We've always just kind of been like that from the beginning, and realized that it worked more than it didn't. So we always just say it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It might not happen right away, because sometimes you're not even sure what the source of your own frustration is. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if there'd be a chart for it, but I feel like it would be pretty equal with the person that brings it up. And this is maybe just my opinion on it all, but I think it could get pretty resentful if it's one person that always brings it up, or one person that always has to start the conversation for it. But I'd say we have been good with that.
So everybody, easiest way is just to talk about it. It will help so much.
How's that for advice?
Yeah. Well, thanks.
It's the easiest advice. I mean, like, there's nothing like, don't go buy me some cookies. Don't go buy me something.
Oh, I'm okay if you buy me
garbage.
cookies.
Like, I'm okay with that, but I have to settle for the talking. There
That
are
just
no
sweeps
puppies.
the problem under the rug.
Yeah, there's
It's
no
like, oh, I'm
puppies
happy,
or
but I still remember.
flowers.
Yeah.
Just talking. But it gives you a peace of mind at the end of the talk.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so.
Did you guys have your first fight during, like, the quarantine situation?
For sure. I think so.
I don't know, I'm just trying to think. There's so many, I just can't.
Just kidding, by the way.
Sure.
We just caused another
Yeah.
fight, Joe.
That we'll do it like our first fight and you take like a picture after or something.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't know.
I actually don't know what our first fight was.
Yeah, I
Because
can't
nothing
remember.
has been, I guess, severe enough that,
You didn't have 1 week here, for example.
yeah, I didn't, like, try to, like, take a week off from his place.
Yeah. It must have been. If it wasn't right at it, it was close to it then. I just yeah.
No, yeah, I don't think, I honestly, we're it's very hard to ask because we talk so much, that it's hard to even break it into a fight, because you understand each other, right?
Yeah.
You're understanding what's frustrating the other person, and you understand when to back off.
But it's definitely different, like, if you were in a new relationship and you had your first fight, but you weren't living together and you had to deal with it over text or something, you know, like...
Yeah, that probably was a blessing in disguise.
Let me
You could
search
talk
my
about it.
text messages now, see if there was a text
I know,
fight.
I feel like
maybe.
doing this on the spot.
Yeah. It's just like
I feel
silences.
Like it's harder to fight. I feel like it's harder to fight during quarantine because you have to face it and you can't have time to maybe think about it or sleep on it. I'm definitely the kind of person that needs that in the back, like needs a day. Like I can't be the one like addressing it on the spot because my mind is not clear. So I feel like having my first fight during quarantine would not be good for me.
Yeah.
or the other person that I'm dating.
Right. And I think in the same vein, it's going into quarantine. I've heard this from so many people. Going to quarantine, and when two people are forced to lock down with each other, right? I mean, it kind of will paint a very good picture of the state of where your relationship is. And if you hadn't had the chance to talk some of these things through beforehand, or like Vanessa had a first fight before and know how to deal with it, it could end up bad. And same thing, not over Zoom, thankfully, but I've also heard of a friend who has ended a relationship in quarantine because I guess when you spend so much time with the other person, you really have to see like, oh, can I? And you talked about this, Vanessa, a couple of podcasts back. Like, can I see this person, for the rest of my life, day in, day out like this? And that's a scary thought, right? Like, that's not everybody's ready for that, or not everybody was waiting for that, right?
I feel like you guys are like Joe said, like you guys are in such a mature relationship that it maybe is scaring me.
Meanwhile,
because I feel like I'm not even there. Like you're giving me advice right now that I wasn't really expecting it.
I mean, like we have fun with each other, but we just want to make sure that we don't pick fights where it's not necessary. Right?
Yeah, I don't think that happens. There's no picking fights where it's like I just feel like being mad today.
We'll fight it out on Call of Duty. Who gets a leg more?
Like a burrito would be even better. That'd be a good. Like, I'm just gonna whip this burrito at you and see.
Okay, this burrito thing again. This inside joke again.
It's such a good game.
No, it's a game. You can look it up. You'll see the game.
I do know the game, and it would be a great fight game.
Okay.
Just throw a burrito at
throw stuff like styrofoam stuffed burritos at each other, and you try to dodge it.
That's about it. You just flip cards until it's your time, and then
it's so much fun. But when you're playing in a small condo space, you really have nowhere to dodge.
Yeah, you're getting hit. Yeah,
and you're getting hit in all the wrong places.
I'm actually really surprised that you guys enjoyed playing it, because I can only imagine that's like one of the games that you bring to the cottage and it ends a relationship.
2 things that end relationships: throw burrito and quarantine.
Yeah.
In that order.
Okay, so before the burrito talk, we were talking about how to strengthen relationships.
Right.
And one of the things that I wanted to ask, have you guys met each other's parents yet? And I guess, was it pre-COVID? And obviously we want to know how that went. And I'll pass it back to you guys.
Yeah, no, that was definitely pre-COVID. I'd say, we definitely see the respective parents. I'd say a bit more than now than before that time. But you met my parents first,
I met your parents first. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was right. So yeah, we just met for dinner downtown, and I don't know. I feel like both our parents are pretty.
So I'll tell everybody.
Do you have a
secret?
story that you're having? Yeah.
Me and his mom connected very well over our love for Hallmark movies.
That's right.
And at the end of the dinner, we're like, okay, you have to go back to the hotel now because the Hallmark movie's about to go on, and she was just so excited, and from that point, I was like, yep, I like her.
I'm sure there's a huge twist.
I approve of your mom, yeah, because that's how it goes.
Yeah, like I guess the way we did it is it was a dinner like on both sides, like both for respective parents, or I guess yours was lunch.
It was dim sum in true Asian fashion.
Nice. Did he pass the dim sum test?
He did. Yeah.
First time I ever used chopsticks.
Was it? Oh.
No, he's lying.
I'm lying. Yeah, and then I guess maybe about a month afterwards is when we saw the parents next, like vice versa, and it's just gotten, I guess I'd say progressively more. Like it's whenever there's an event, obviously there is, but we make an effort to do it otherwise. I don't know, like there wasn't, when we were prepping for it, I don't think there was a, like, make sure you have to talk about this, or like this person said something weird. I feel like we've almost picked up on something, or like vice versa, like you might notice something about my parents that I never noticed before,
so
and vice versa.
Funny story, we're talking about interracial couples. So Chinese parents and Chinese families are generally very conservative, and they're very polite. And just thinking and I was prepping Mike for dim sum with my parents, and I said, "Oh, remember how after dinner, like everybody said goodbye, we hugged each other? I'm totally cool with that, but don't expect that from my parents. Like, don't expect a hug."
Yeah, because white parents, it's
it's normal.
Yeah.
It was funny because when we were leaving, my mom like literally tried to hug him like 3 times, and it was like so awkward for all of us.
I know, in my head I was like, they're not going to do it, so I'm just going to like stand away.
He was like, he's like, she's not going to hug me. He's like, wait, she's trying to hug me? It was so weird. And it was just the funniest thing, but yeah.
So I do feel like that might be like an Asian parent, like white kid thing, because the same with my parents. They were like all over him, and I was like, I'm confused.
Like, wait, you don't even hug me.
Because I remember like the last time I brought a boyfriend home, they like had him awkwardly sitting there, and then it was just kind of like, okay, goodbye guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wave, like, bye.
Yeah.
But since then, my mom has tried to hug him a few other times, so expect more of those. Yeah, now he's used to it, the awkward hugs.
Love it. You're gonna have to come on for an interracial relationships podcast episode.
That is so awkward. I'm sorry, I can't even imagine my mom touching my boyfriend. It would be so gross.
It's like
Like a high five.
yeah,
Or something?
and he just gives her a high five. Yeah,
That would be good.
He'd be like social distancing all the time.
I need to look at another like Asian couple and their relationships again because I'm almost kind of forgetting what it's like. Because yeah, like my parents are always just like it's like the only thing they can say, right? Like they can't really like give him well wishes. Well, I guess they can. Like their English isn't terrible, but like they're not as comfortable with it, so they'd rather just be like, okay, let me just give you a hug and like, okay,
yeah.
be gone.
Let's not talk.
Yeah.
Do you think that your parents are hugging them because they feel like they're trying to adapt to their culture and that, you know, white people hug, so I'm going to make him feel comfortable and then I'm going to just go get in there.
I don't think that is the intention.
So
Like-
why did he get a hug?
I have no idea.
I feel like they just feel
Did you,
awkward.
wait,
Like-
did you ask her
So
afterwards?
baffled.
Jen, did you ask your mom why she
No.
hugged?
I don't want to talk about it.
I would totally ask.
Like, why did you do
I
that?
thought that would have been the first question, yeah. Like, Mom, why are you so
Back
awkward?
off, he's mine.
That would be a weird thing to say.
I think you should ask your mom and then tell
Yeah,
us.
one day. Over beers.
Would I? Yeah, my parents would have hugged you.
Yeah, they did. But now we just tap elbows.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the social distance hug when people just like
Oh.
tap each other's elbows. Yeah, it's
That's like, okay.
Huh.
Yeah, that was weird for me, too. I always fist bump my dad, though. That's, like, his thing. I guess that's the white dad and the white son. Like, look at him or something.
We're all giving him really weird looks.
Yeah.
I
We're
don't
all
know.
giving him.
No, you wouldn't do this with your dad, like a fist bump.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, don't do that.
Or
I
you
guess
can
we should
bow.
do that for dinner.
You bow.
Me too.
Okay, so I thought we would end it off with like rapid fire questions because we kind of did that at the beginning of your relationship for Mike. But it's
Fire
gonna be
away.
for both of you guys. So it's like
Well, either one of us answer this?
you guys both have to answer.
Oh.
But like you have to think quickly. You have to answer quickly. I don't know how it's gonna work because they're not really rapid fire answers.
100 words or less, please, yeah.
Yeah. All right, ready? Who takes longer in the shower?
I do.
Who is a better quarantine cook?
Oh, by far you.
Me.
Don't even answer. Yeah. And
Who-
they better cook.
What is the worst habit of each other's?
He eats all the ice cream and doesn't tell me about it. And I go and find it's all gone.
That's dirty.
Mike?
Worst.
Hi.
I would
Mike,
say
he's a rapid
like your
fire.
attention for COD. You just forget I'm there when you're playing. Onwards.
What's the like worst smelling thing that each other has?
Hockey bag.
You're crying towel. Oh, sorry, not that.
Thanks, Vanessa.
I know.
I crying towel.
No, I can't say that one on the podcast.
You can totally. Oh wait, you can say it because it's out there.
Mm-hmm. Let me just give a better answer. I suck at rapid fire. So,
Yeah, you're
I
taking
do.
a really long time, Mike.
enough.
He wants to say my farts, but he can't say it. Because every time I think it doesn't smell, he's like, I smell it.
You just tell them it smells like roses.
Your like feet don't smell nothing.
Aw, that's good. That's a good answer. Say nothing.
Okay, nothing.
What's the strangest person you've seen? What's the strangest thing you've seen the other person do?
You love doing your face
Oh, my double chin face. Yeah, I do.
every time. You just like stare straight ahead, like, double chin all the time.
The strangest thing he does is probably quote, like have a movie quote for every situation of life. And I don't know 90% of the things that he's talking about, and I just stare blankly at him, and that's usually when I give him the double chin face.
Nice. There you go. See?
Yeah.
And what's the most endearing thing that you've noticed about each other during quarantine?
Endearing, the level of care you put into every little thing.
Aww.
I think for me, at the end of every day, he would make sure he says, "Good night, I love you," before we go to bed. So I will make sure that we still remember that we care about each other.
Very cute.
Mike, do it.
The heart, the thing, this thing.
Finger hearts. Guys, so there is a new finger hearts. It's not finger hearts anymore. It's hamburger heart.
Ooh,
So
what
what
is it?
you do, it has to go like hamburger shape, and then you bite it down into a heart.
I like that.
The
Yeah.
heart's black.
Very cute.
Smash burger.
Anyways, that's all my questions for you. You guys are adorable. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Let's Talk Basic Podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Let's Talk Basic podcast. For more exclusive content, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk Basic.